Major developments in the investigation of that passenger plane that fell from the sky in Egypt. Preliminary information suggesting a bomb may have caused the jet to blow apart in midair. We are just hearing from Defense Secretary Ash Carter aboard an aircraft carrier in the South China Sea. Our national security team covering all the angles for you, and Brian Ross is going to start us off. Good morning, Brian.
Robin, this morning there is growing concern that a terror bomb did in fact bring down that Russian plane. And if so, it could represent what U.S. officials call the nightmare scenario for air travel everywhere.
Counterterrorism officials say new intelligence led them to their conclusion that the plane was likely blown out of the sky.
We have concluded that there is a significant possibility that that crash was caused by an explosive device on board the aircraft.
As officials continue to search for clues in the desert, the U.S. Secretary of Defense this morning echoed the concern about a bomb in an exclusive interview with ABC's Bob Woodruff, conducted on board an aircraft carrier in the South China Sea.
That is one possibility, an explosive device, and that was consistent with what we know, but I understand that there are other hypotheses.
The Russian flight left from the Sharm el-Sheikh airport in Egypt, where now all flights to and from Britain are suspended because of what British officials told ABC News was lax security.
There are indications now that the airport itself may have been compromised by the Islamic State.
Within hours, the Islamic State terror group in the Sinai said it was responsible for the Russian jet crash, a claim that was at first dismissed as propaganda. But now the group has become a prime suspect, and it has posted a second claim of responsibility, citing Russia's new role in fighting ISIS in Syria.
Now that Russia has begun operating in the region, they become a target of these same terrorist groups that have been targeting the U.S. and European nations over the last several years.
Well, there is still no hard evidence that the bomb was responsible. U.S. authorities are already considering what steps they could and should take to increase security for U.S. flights that go in and out of the region, George.
Okay, Brian, thanks very much. Let's get more on this from our Chief Global Affairs correspondent, Martha Raddatz. And Martha, if this is ISIS, if it was a bomb, it would be a major shift in their strategy.
It would, George, and if ISIS got a bomb on this plane, it is a game changer for the fight against them. There have been some intelligence officials who viewed ISIS as a regional problem, a group that wanted territory in Iraq and Syria, but were not thinking beyond that. Now the intelligence community has got to be saying, if they could bring down a Russian airliner, what else could they do? And remember that Russia just started bombing in Syria over a month ago. So if ISIS brought the airliner down as retaliation to the Russians, ISIS got that plan together very quickly, and I would think Russia would have to go after them even harder.
Yeah, Russia will have to change their strategy, and if indeed ISIS is branching out, what does the United States do?
Well, they're going to be laser focused on the safety of our airlines overseas. I travel a lot in that region, as you know, and the security in airports varies a lot. But they will be focused on airlines at home as well. We've all heard concerns about lone wolves here. There would be even more concern about that now, George.
Okay, Martha Raddatz, thanks very much, Robin.
And we're going to bring in ABC News aviation consultant Colonel Steve Ganyard to talk more about what you were just talking to Martha about. If this was indeed a sophisticated bomb, what does that mean for U.S. security here?
Good morning, Robin. I think the important point here is it's not so much the sophistication of the bomb, but it's where the bomb is placed on the airplane and how big the bomb is. If we remember back to the Pan Am 103 flight over Lockerbie, Scotland, that bomb was less than 1 pound, and it was able to bring down a 747, which is much bigger than this aircraft.
So how will this change the way bags are checked?
Well, you know, our own Alex Marquardt was telling us yesterday about how bad the security was, even after this incident in Sharm, and how bad in general it is in Egypt. So I think that there's probably a problem throughout the Middle East in terms of security. But whenever anything like this happens, our own security folks are going to go back and look and see if there was some hole that terrorists might have been able to get a bomb through, might have been able to get an unchecked bag onto that airplane. But, you know, when we go through our own TSA pre-checks, we sometimes get irritated at having to sit and wait in line. But they're there for a reason, and they remain the first line of defense against something like this happening in the United States.
We have to keep that in mind. You're right about that, Steve. Thank you.